Hello, Blender community. I prepared today for you scanned objects from Chemnitz, and today we will look into the detail of how to minimize it for web, because as we see, the topology is quite dense and it has a lot of vertices. How to minimize this, and this is actually the topic for today. So let's look at this wall. As you see, the topology, when I click one single vertices, it's actually in parts. So that's not good because we want to remesh it. And for that, we need one single mesh. And now there are separated meshes. And I don't know, some softwares do that. So a little trick is to press A to select all of them. And then we go in our edit mode to mesh, clean up, and there we do merge by distance. What does this do? It kills a lot of vertices, and when I press L now, it is one single mesh. Then we press Command I, so that we select the not selected parts, which are separated here, and delete them. So we delete them, delete vertices, and now we have a more cleaned up mesh. That's the deal. And then I will position this thingy in the middle of my 3D workspace. So it's, then I will also put it like so. So I will put it here, and then I will make object set origin. I will also want to have my origin at the 3D cursor, so it's here. Okay. And now what we have to do next is to actually export it as OBJ. Before we do that, I called it Wand, and I will call it Wand high detail, because this is my high detailed mesh. File, export, and then I will show you the other software, which is quite useful. So we go OBJ, and I will make here a new folder, OBJ high. There you go. And there we save it, and we will select only the one what we want, because we selected our wall, our wand. And yeah, let's export that. Ta-da. So now we're in Instant Mesh. It looks quite simple. And the way to use the software is you go really step by step down, and then you're good to go. So first we open up. There you see you can have a poly file in, or an OBJ. Some poly files don't work. I tried, so the best to go is to use OBJ. And we choose our OBJ, what we just created. So we now hide this one, and I will open it up, and it takes some time. There it is. So this is our mesh now. It has no texture anymore. This is what we're gonna do in Blender. But what we do here is the retopology of it. And there you see you have this counting of vertices. You can go down with it. Let's say we go down, like, you can put in the numbers here. So you have to take the slider. And I will go around 5-ish, like so. And then I press this solve button. And then these lines will appear. They show you how your edges will move. And you can also paint it. This is this little fella here. It looks like a comb. You use that, and then you can also make the lines more straight, and then go there. Then you have to click on it again so that it disappears, so you can do the solve again. And then the next step is to use the position field, which gives you actually a grid. And this grid is much better than the one we just saw in Blender. And then you just have to press export mesh. I usually do this pure quad mesh, so it gets a little bit more detailed, and then I also do a little bit of smoothing, like 1, and then you have to press extract mesh, and then you see this will be the mesh what you will use for the next step. And it looks much more cleaned up and much more smooth. and it has really a nice topology where you can adjust it and etc. So we save that. We do now a new folder. I always do it that way because then I have my overview, obj low, because this is my low mesh, and I will save that here, and I will call it wand low.obj. There you go. Save, and it's there. So important is that if you exported this object and import it, it shouldn't be moved or adjusted in any way because we want to have it exactly on that position. So I'm back in Blender. And I will go now to File, Import, and import my OBJ file. There you go, OBJ low. This is my wand low, and I will just import it. And there it is. And as you see, it's white because it has actually no texture anymore and no UV map. So if we go in the edit mode and go to our UV editing, we see that it has actually no information for our UV map. So this is what we have to do. We have to give the object a UV map, and there I see also something else. These blue edges, they show you that it is actually hard edged. That's why it's also so edgy when you go in object mode. To quickly solve that, you select all the edges, A, and you go clear sharp, and now it's cleared. Now it's not sharp anymore. And the next step is to go to your face select and go to UV, smart UV project, and we will make a little bit of island here, and we go OK, and now we have our UV projection. And I will do that again because I want to have a little bit more space around the islands. And so I will go 0.01, and then I will do that again, and there we see we have a little bit space here, which is good. So it did actually a good job because it actually took this part and then this part and projected as a UV map. We don't have an image yet, so this is the next step, that we add an image. So we did our UV project, smart project, and now we need to give him the object an image texture. So we go to our shading environment, and then we call this material the name you want it to, that you recognize it. And then we press Shift A and search for image texture. We create a new image texture, and I will call it Wand Baked. I will leave it 1024, which I think is a good size. I will leave out the alpha and I will press OK. Now we created our image. And as you see, when I go to my UV editing and we go to our Wand Baked, it's gray and there is nothing there. We want now to use the high res, this one, to bake it on this one. So that's the next step. Here the high res, as you see, it has a texture, and the low res has no texture. So what we do is something new for you. We go to not to Eevee, but to Cycles rendering. It's a different rendering engine, which gives you much more information about lights and about reflections and stuff. So it's a really more detailed rendering engine than the Eevee. And what Eevee also gives you as a user is the baking option. So you won't find baking here. So we in the render properties, and we chose Cycles as render engine, and then this drop down pops up, and there is the baking process. And this is something really useful. Baking means just that you can sum up or combine textures in one texture. You can switch this texture to another object. So baking is a really useful process for you, especially when it comes to baking lights, for instance. This is what you can do directly on the texture, and it will save you a lot of rendering and stuff. So we go into our shading and our shading menu, and we still here in the Eevee cycles rendering here. And we go down to baking, and what we want is actually only the color. So it's only the diffuse, so only this base color. Nothing else. We just want to have the color of the texture so that we bake it on this texture. I will deselect direct and indirect light. And what we will select as well is the selected to active. This is actually our tool to transform one texture to another object. Okay. And I found out the best parameters for this was 0.02. I hope this is true, as I remember. Yeah, and then we will also put down the margin of 3 pixels. I had the experience this is also better because this gives actually a outline of the islands. So I'll show you quickly. So this is the island, and then if it's 16 pixels, they could overlap. So that's why we keep that a little bit lower, like 3 pixels, that it won't do that. Yeah, and then actually, this is a little bit tricky now because it says selected to active. So the active should be actually the low one. So we have to select first our high res and then shift select in the 3D port our low res. And this highlighted light blue suggests that this is the active one. If it's the other way around, you will bake it wrong and you will have to do the whole process again, and that's annoying. So take care that you have this kind of order. First is the high, second is the low, and it should be highlighted light blue. And then we have selected our object. Let's go quickly to, yeah. So the high-res image texture is here, and it's also connected with the base color. Some exports will be connected to emission, and then the baking won't work. So just check out if the high-res texture has this connection, the created low texture. So, and this is what we're gonna do now. We're gonna bake and hope it's gonna be all right. Takes some time, so we'll stop that. Okay, we baked our texture here. You see, it looks quite cool. It did its job. It has all what we need. It is also a nice UV map, like my suggestion. So we switch off now our low res, and you see it's not connected yet. But before we do that, just remember, if you bake something or if you create a new texture, you always have to save it. So this is what we're gonna do now. You can save it here in the little menu bar here. Image has this little star suggesting you it's not saved. So that is what we do. Save as. And we will create now a folder with says textures, new folder, textures, there you go. And there we save our image. It should be not a PNG, it should be a JPEG because we have no transparency, so save it as image. And it's saved now. Let's check this. Yes, so there's no star anymore. And we connect it to our base color, and ta-da, this is the whole magic. And now it has a really cool topology. Let's compare that in the layout view. Hoppala. There you go. And we go back not to Eevee because it takes time until we show things. So this is our low res and this is our high res. And if we look next to it, there are some edgy parts here because of the re-topologizing thingy. It looks much better, and this is really much better, yeah. Because now you can actually also adjust it. You know, you can clean it up and have easier way to just select things because the topology is really straight and has its simple form of surface, which is quite cool. So this is what we will do in future as well. I think for you it's a really nice tool set to know how baking works and how to really minimize your photogrammetry, because I think it's a really interesting tool, and you can use it then for web and for Mozilla hubs or whatever, because it's really low res now. So they have like just 17,000 vertices in 17,600 in comparison to, let's see, 222,600. So this is a really difference. There is not much difference between these two. So I hope I could help you with this, and this will be the workshop for today, and I'm really excited what you come up with. So see you next time. I'm happy to hear from you, and bye bye.